Okay, so today we're going to start our final part of the preliminary matters, the prefatory matters, with units and unit conversion. So you should have all this copied here. And now we're just going to be implementing a method to convert from different types of units. So the basic SI units, System International, the SI units are the meters, grams, and seconds. Sometimes referred to just kilograms, but we want to go from smaller grams to kilograms and so forth. So the SI units up top here. And our job today is just to look at different types of these units using this chart. So what if we wanted to figure out something like how many micrometers are in 1 decameter? Well, this will be a nice convenient chart to convert between the two, or vice versa. How many decameters in 1 micrometer? So we can, play around with this in n number of ways to go from different types of the same unit, go from different types of meters, different types of grams, different types of seconds, different types of Teslas, different types of joules, newtons, so forth. All these different types of SI units. So, I'll explain this part here in a second. But let's see, our unit conversion method is we're going to start at the unknown quantity and we're going to count up or down to the known quantity. So for example, what if we wanted to figure out how many centimeters there are in 1 meter? Well, we start at the unknown, which is the centi here, and we're going to count the powers of 10 that separate centi from the baseline meter, right here in the middle. So let's take the number that we know, 1, and however many powers of 10 are going to separate centi to meter, we just, substitute that for x. So 1 times 10 to the x power. So we're trying to figure out how many powers of 10, how many x powers of 10 separate centi to meter. So here's the unknown, and we count 1, 2 powers of 10 that separate centi to the meter. So there are 2 powers of 10 that separate centi to meter. So that means there are 1 times 10 to the second centimeters in 1 meter. So we answered the question. We've gone from the unknown centimeters to the known 1 meter. And our answer would be 1 times 10 to the second, or simply 100. Since we know 10 to the second is 100, 10 to the third, 1,000, and so on. So with these red lines here, since I started at the unknown centi and went to the known meter to the right, I counted to the right, my powers of 10 will be positive. So every time I start at some unknown quantity on the left and count to the right, the powers of 10 will be positive. If I wanted to figure out how many meters in 1 centimeter, I count 1, 2 powers of 10, but that would be to the left. Therefore, that would be 10 to the minus 2. So how many meters in 1 centimeter would be 1 times 10 to the minus second meters in 1 centimeter, or for short, cm, or centimeter. As we see here, the symbols for all of these prefixes are below. We have the, starting way over here with the lowercase yocto all the way up for all of these small units to the larger units in terms of 10 to the positive powers, capital D, deca, hecto, kilo, and so forth. So these right here are just the symbols for the different prefixes. so we don't have to write so much. All right, second example. What if we wanted to figure out how many millimeters in 1 kilometer? Well, same method. We start at milli here, and we're going to count all the powers of 10 that separate milli to kilo. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 powers of 10 that separate milli from kilo. So 10 to the 6 power. That means that we have the 1, which is what we know, times 10 to the 6 millimeters in 1 kilometer. Or better yet, there's 1 million millimeters in 1 kilometer. I'll just leave it as 10 to the 6, doesn't matter. Let's see, or 1 million millimeters. Either way is good. So next example, how many gigameters in 1 micrometer? So again, we locate the giga prefix at this line, and we're going to count the powers of 10 from giga all the way to micro. And the symbol for micro is this Greek letter mu, mu. It's like a funny looking U. All right, starting at giga. So we can see 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 15. So there are 10 to the minus 15 power, or 10 to the minus 15 gigameters in 1 micrometer. And so if we went from micrometers to gigameters, we start left and count right, and that would be 10 to the positive 15. So it all depends on what direction you're counting in to give you the powers of 10. Is it going to be 10 to the positive power, 10 to a positive power, or 10 to a negative power? Okay, so take the known number for micrometer. 1 times 10 to the minus 15 gigameters, and 1 micron, or a micrometer. Micron is just a short name for micrometer. But here's our answer. 1 times 10 to the minus 15. So, any questions on how we use this chart to convert from right to left, left, right? Okay, I will pause here. Okay, so continuing on, we're going to look at our textbook here, page 28, number 11A. We'll do some select questions on unit conversion. So I'm going to refer to the chart that's behind me and walk you through some of these. So the question in the book says we want to express 2 decimeters in millimeters, or another way of saying that is how many millimeters in 2 decimeters. So we take the given number here, 2 times 10 to some power. So we have to determine, based on the direction that we're counting, if the power of 10 will be positive or negative. Okay, so locating millimeter, we see that there are 2 powers of 10 that separate the milli from the deci, and that's deci, not deca, because decameter would be capital D, as we can see on our charts. So that's 2 times 10 to the second millimeters and 2 decimeters. So we counted 2 powers of 10 to the right, therefore 2 times 10 2 times 10 to the second, or 200. 10 to the second, 100 times 2, 200 millimeters in 2 decimeters. So either way, you can express that using the power of 10 or just converting it to a number. The next one, 11C, we'll skip over 11B, let's go to 11C. How many micrograms in 16 grams? So again, we look at our chart, locate the unknown, the micro, and we're going to count to the right all the way to grams. And the numbers that we're counting are the powers of 10. So we'll have 16 times 10 to the, it's going to be a positive power since we're counting right. So let's count the powers of 10. 3, 4, 5, and 6. As we can see on our chart, there are 6 powers of 10 separate micro to regular gram. So 16 times 10 to the 6 micrograms, I'll write it like this for short, and 16 grams. 16 million micrograms in 16 grams. And that should make some sense to you because it's going to take a lot of the smaller objects to make up the larger one. So it's going to be positive powers of 10. So 11D, how many centimeters in 0.75 kilometers? Start at the unknown, go to the known. Let's write our number out first. 0.75 times 10 to the positive power of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we are. So 0.75 times 10 to the 5th centimeters in 0.75 kilometers. So again, 5 powers of 10 to the right, why it's positive, that separates centimeters to kilometers. In this case, 0.75 kilometers. So 0.75 times 10 to the 5th centimeters in 0.75 kilometers. So we could express that as 7.5 times 10 to the 4th centimeters if we want. It's the same thing as saying this, 0.75 times 10 to the 5th. Just moving the decimal over left, right. So there we go for 11D. And for 11E, how many grams in 0.675 milligrams? Start at the unknown grams. I'm going to count all the way to milli. So there are 3 powers of 10 left to the left. Separate the grams to the milligrams. So that would be 0.675 times 10 to the minus 3 grams. 0.675 milligrams. So that should, again, make some sense. It's going to take less of the larger object to make the smaller. It's going to be 10 to the minus power. Whereas it will be 0.675 times 10 to the positive 3 milligrams in 0.675 grams. So we just switch depending on the direction that we count. And lastly, for this examples here, how many centimeters in 462 micrometers? So there are 4 powers of 10 separate the centimeter from the micrometer. Thus, we'll say 462 times 10 to the minus 4 centimeters in 462 micrometers, microns. All right, and minus 4 once again, as we count it to the left. Identify centi, 1, 4, stop at the micro line. That's 4 powers of 10 left, or 10 to the minus 4. 462 times 10 to the minus 4 centimeters, 462 micrometers or microns, 462 microns. And of course, we can also say 4.62 times 10 to the minus second centimeters if you want to do the typical scientific notation. So 4.62 times 10 to the minus second centimeters is the same as saying 462 times 10 to the minus 4 centimeters. There's that. Pause for any questions. All right.